Hello, good morning, everyone. I don't know how many people have already come in. Let me just check. Yeah? Currently have 13 participants coming in now. Yeah, more and more coming in. So while we wait, we will have a polling that will happen in the next few minutes so that everyone who is already come in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are still waiting for more attendees to come in. So if you don't mind, while we are waiting, I think we have one or two polls that we are going to be doing. We're going to be doing 5 polling questions throughout the webinar. If you would be so kind as to answer the polls, it would be great. I think my co-host will be putting it up on screen soon, and we will start shortly. Yeah. Yes. So this is the first polling question. Which agriculture activity are you involved in? If you are from the agri sector, you can have, could you please give your answer? And if you are not in the agri sector, or you are just interested in learning about new agri-tech, there is the option at the very bottom. Yeah. So please feel free to answer. And we will get to this seminar shortly. We'll give it another 2 minutes or 1 minute more, and we will start. All right, maybe we'll go on to the next question. So the next question is, what kind of automated systems do you currently have on your farm? If you do not have any, then there is also an option there for you to answer that. It will be greatly appreciated if you can give us some feedback. Yeah? These polls will not take more than 30 seconds or 45 seconds. So if you can just very quickly click on it, that would be great. Okay, So I think that would be the end of the first two polls. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can start now. It's 11:05, and those who are going to be straggling in, I think we can let them enter as they come in. Currently, we have 31 people in this event. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in to REDtone's next REDtone live event. Yeah, for this episode, we are looking at the future of agriculture in Malaysia, technology to empower farmers, smallholder farmers. And joining me today is guest speaker Dr. Nicole Leong, senior lecturer at UTM, as well as Arifah Sharifuddin, senior manager at MDEC Digital Inclusion Division. So before we begin, I'd like to just give a short housekeeping briefing. This will be a very small group of audience today. As you can see, we're expecting about 40, 50 people. It's our intention to make this an online dialogue session rather than a one-way presentation. So the presentations will be kept quite short. During the presentation, everyone will be on listening mode. However, there is a Q&A panel that you can type in your questions, and there will also be a Q&A session where you can actually have the raise hand button and you can enter speaking mode. We will enable the speaking mode for you if and when there is time. Yeah, this session is expected to take only about an hour, and we hope to stick to that schedule so as to not take up too much of your time. Thank you so much for coming in. Our first guest speaker will be Arifah Sharifuddin, from the Senior Manager from Digital Inclusion Division of MDEC. She will be speaking on digital inclusivity in agro-food industry. Thank you, Arifah, for coming in and sharing with us. The next speaker will be Dr. Nicole Leong, Senior Lecturer at the Innovation Center in Agri-Technology for Advanced Bioprocessing, UTM Pago. She will be presenting on Malaysia Agriculture Outlook. Thank you so much, Dr. Nicole, for joining us today. So before we begin, I'd like to share the problem statement that we have currently in Malaysia. Smallholder farmers do not use technology here in Malaysia, and more than 65% of them are about to retire or are due to retire in the next 15 years. And we do not have a next generation to come in to actually replace them, right? We also have very high wastage of resources due to inefficient farming methods that are currently employed in Malaysia. We have a growing population versus limited resources. This is because currently Malaysia already has a national food security problem, and we expect it to get worse in the future if nothing is done. Our high dependency on foreign labor is also an issue that has to be addressed in the near term so that we will be able to survive in the long term. Going on to current events, the effects of the current pandemic on the Malaysian agri sector is very apparent right now. We have 1 in 5 employees in agriculture jobs that have lost their positions. Nearly 1/3 of them have experienced a reduction in working hours. Nearly 8% have been forced to take paid leave or half-paid leave, unpaid leave during this time. However, there are some bright spots. You can see that nearly 14% have had no impact on their business whatsoever, while 1.3% have had a positive impact, where they have increased their working hours. 22% are working from home. So I believe that this is due to technology being used to enable them to do so. So I think the questions and the topic for today will deal with the post-MCO effects. What are we going to do next? What's next for Malaysia in the agri sector? So with that in mind, I think we will launch another poll for the next 30 seconds. Yeah, this will be poll number 3. Phil, if you could help me out here. And we will then go on to our first speaker, Ms. Arifah Sharifuddin. So the third polling question is, if you are a farmer, what are your main challenges or issues? Labor costs, material costs, inconsistent yields, difficulties in getting funds to invest, or none of the above. So if you would kindly just very quickly click on the appropriate answer, we can get on with the presentations. All right, thank you very much. I think we'll go on to our next speaker. I will allow Dr. Ms. Arifah to present. I believe you're on mute, Arifah.
Assalamualaikum. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this webinar session today. So I will briefly speak about what we're doing, MDEC, an agency under Ministry of Multimedia and Communications, what we're doing in the space of agriculture. So I come from the Digital Inclusion Division of MDEC. So we are championing digital inclusivity for Malaysia. And in the space of agro-food industry, we want to catalyze the agro-food digital supply chain, as well as improving the adoption of affordable Agtech for smallholder farmers. So basically, this is just a background of the space that we want to play. As you all might be aware, the agriculture industry is have many legacy. It is a very complex industry. There are so many players in there. And as an agency championing digital economy, we found that there is opportunity for digital and technology inputs to assist in improving the efficiency and cost effectiveness of the agri-food supply chain, as well as to enhance the productivity level to achieve high income status. We believe that digital business models can be leveraged and linked to in the aim to create an efficient and transparent agro-food digital supply chain. So what you're seeing here in the screen is actually the to-be state that we envision, whereby the traditional supply chain, which are fragmented, can be integrated and utilizing the various players in the tech industry which are already in service and providing their services. To do so, for the time being, we are actually doing a use case to digitalize the business processes of the deep sea fishery supply chain. This is involving the community in Tok Bali in Kelantan, and we are specifically focusing on the end of upstream, which is the point where the fish actually arrives at the jetty, all the way to the start of downstream. So it covers the midstream supply chain as well. So the platform itself is actually ready, the digital platform, and it will be smart ledger and smart contract ready, because there's also an aim of creating traceability. But the main output of this use case, the first main output, is actually a digital income statement for the people, the pilot users, who will be using this digital platform first. So we are aiming 30 pilot users, which will be onboarded this year, and we will be monitoring the progress until end of the year. At the same time, we are also propagating adoption of digital technology by smallholder farmers. I think we are aware that smallholder farmers, they contribute significantly to agriculture produce here in Malaysia. But at the same time, they are always plagued with inconsistent yield, plagued with high input costs, and not also getting the right, the desired value of their produce when they start selling their produce. So what we have come up with and piloted since 2018 is this program where we actually put the new technology in a space in collaboration with farm operators as well as technology providers in one space, so that people can come, get trained, get a feel of how this technology is going to help them, how it's going to assist them, see the ROIs. If they don't have funding, we will help them to secure funding. I mean, MDEC, kita tak ada bagi funding, we don't provide funding to farmers, tapi we have partners who are in the ecosystem together with us. And if the participants are keen to apply funding from Agrobank, kita boleh matchkan dengan Agrobank. If they are looking at a simpler funding assessment, then kita boleh rope in all the digital financing solution providers which are available in the market right now. So for the moment, the smart fertigation system has been completed, the testing and the ROI. So it is now being used at our labs in PPK Kuala Langat in Teluk Mengkuang. And the work in pipeline right now is for the smart aquaculture as well as the smart misting technology provided by REDtone IoT. So what MDEC is doing is actually also assisting technology providers by providing them the test bedding site to prove that their technology works and to ensure that the technology is affordable for adoption by smallholder farmers. So as much as possible, we try to limit the cost of the technology itself to be below 20,000 ringgit. And we are working together with the technology providers on that. So basically, this is the performance of our program to date. So as at 31st December 2019, we have had 78 farmers who have gone through the full program and have adopted the smart fertigation technology, as well as smart aquaculture and the smart misting. And the value of the income, the yield that has came out from the pilot sites are close to 2 million ringgit since 2018. So moving forward, we are actually still in discussion with APU to continue this project in RMK 12 and working closely together with the various stakeholders in MOA themselves to achieve the desired outcomes by 2025, where we want to increase the competitiveness of our smallholder farmers. We want to develop a new breed of agro-food digital economy entrepreneurs. And we want to have an operational digital supply chain for fresh produce, as well as allowing financial service institutions to actually service this targeted community to ensure that the community is fully supported. Okay, and that's about it. If you have any questions, you can contact me at this detail, my email, as well as my phone number. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arifah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Before we go on to Dr. Nicole, I believe the information that has been presented by Ms. Arifah is very insightful into what the government is actually doing at the moment to allow farmers to embrace digital technology, and we applaud you for that. I believe before we move on to Dr. Nicole, we will have another polling question. Yeah, Ms. Field, if you can help me put up the next poll. So yes, this question is, do you think Malaysian farmers are ready to adopt IR 4.0 smart farming solutions? So if you guys can very quickly just give your thoughts on this, it will be greatly appreciated. And we can get, if Arifah can stop sharing, then we'll get Dr. Nicole set up for her presentation while you are answering the polls. All right, thank you very much to everyone who's answered the polls here. We will now move on to Dr. Nicole, who will be giving us a brief overview on the Malaysia agriculture outlook. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you for having me here, Reza. Right. I'm going to give an overview on the Malaysia agriculture outlook. So it will split into the general basic data and then the trending agriculture concept in Malaysia, and also the Agri-Tech, the emerging, also what is the impact of COVID-19 on the agriculture sector. So overall, as we all know, the population forecast is always in increasing trend. So the world population is forecasted to increase from 7.6 billion in 2017 to 8.6 billion in 2030, and also 9.8 billion in 2050. So similarly in Malaysia, we are seeing the same trend. So we are expecting increase of from 28.6 million to 41.5 million in 2040. So this means that our food production has to increase to meet the demand due to the increased population. So the current agriculture GDP in 2018, the latest data I have, is 7.3% contributed by agriculture sector. And the major contributor is still oil palm, which is about 38%. And overall, we export about 114,000 millions agriculture goods and imports 93,000 millions ringgit Malaysia values of agriculture product. And we have total about 1.6 million people employed under agriculture sector. Please take note, this is not just farmer, it's a whole agriculture sector, including downstream processing. So out of this total number, about 31% is a non-citizen. So we are pretty highly rely on foreign workers. So this is the age group in 2000, comparing 2010 and 2040. So you can see the change of the age group. So for the age group of age 0 to 29, we can see that compared to 2010 and 2040, we see a decreasing trend. And for the age group of 30 to 85, we see that in 2040, we have a higher population of older age group. So this is the indication of population aging, which might potentially lead to workforce shortage. So when we go through the trending agriculture concept in Malaysia, these are the four major farming concept trending. Precision farming, now moving towards smart farming and high-tech farming, and also sustainable farming, which we are looking at the balance of economic, social, and also environment. So under the sustainable farming, we have a pretty new concept emerging from sustainable farming, which is a regenerative farming. We are looking at the soil health, and also carbon farming, looking at the climate change. So carbon farming is pretty established in if I'm not mistaken, it's Australia. So they actually have a carbon farming credit system, encourage farmer to convert to a more sustainable practices to decrease carbon in their farm system. And also urban farming, due to the limited land availability. So we are using indoor farm, vertical farming, rooftop farming to actually reduce the land use. And also organic farming, which is already very established in Malaysia, which is regulated by a set of standard. So in Malaysia, we have a My Organic, which refer to the standard of the IFOM, International Federation of Organic. So when we go to the Agri-Tech that emerging right now is we are going towards big data. So we are collecting data from satellite image, GIS, GPS, and also weather forecast and past record, field observation. We were able to forecast extreme weather, especially during a time that we are facing climate change. So extreme weather such as drought, flood, will definitely impact the farmer. So we are using all those big data that we collected. We are forecasting extreme weather, pest forecast, and yield and loss to ensure the profit of farmers, and also reduce the losses and allow farmer to have a proper planting planning and management. And we are moving towards automation, so we can see that drones are available in the market, the robotic in agriculture, and also self-driving tractor. Self-driving tractor, I think, pretty common in the US. So another trend that we seeing coming in is light, water, and nutrient on demand. So instead of soil sensor, we are moving towards leaf sensor, as soil is a very complex matrix. So the sensor is actually, the accuracy is not as high. So we are actually moving towards a leaf sensor. So measuring the electrical pulse of a leaf to measuring the plant health and also the water rigidity. And also we are going towards a stage nutrient release fertilizer. As we all know, the plant essential nutrient, the 17 essential nutrient. So we are coating each nutrient and allowing it to release in the stage according to plant growth. So this is to minimize the resource usage and also the environment impact on the excessive use of nutrient. And also in indoor farming, LED system is pretty common for plant growth, but we are moving towards adjustable LED system, whereby the LED system is able to sense the plant and also the plant growth, and adjust according to the plant requirement. The light intensity is adjusted automatically, and also it will adjust to the plant growth size. So more light will turn on when the plant grows older and bigger. So this is to minimize the electricity wastage and also the more efficient use of the LED system. And also the nanotech. So similar to the leaf sensor, we are moving to a more sensitive sensor. So the nano sensor provides us a more accurate data on the soil moisture, the humidity, and also the nutrient and pests. And also we are using nano material as a carrier for fertilizer, pesticide, and insecticides to minimize the wastage of resources, and also a more precise application of farm input. So what will be our future farmer? In 2018, the Age Malaysia reported our average farmer is about 60 years old. But in 2020, NST News actually reported our Malaysian farmers' average age is about 50 years old. This has suggested that our future farmer is getting younger. Which means that our future farmer is more tech savvy, having higher education level, better scientific knowledge, there are higher acceptance of new technology, and also their environmental awareness will be much more higher. But one thing we need to take into the consideration is the number of younger farmer. So if the younger farmer replacing the older farmer is less, we will be seeing a trend of consolidation of small farm, which means the larger acreage of farm area will be handled by a single farmer. And when we going towards consolidation of small farm, we will see the farm management will be more complex and potentially going towards automation or higher reliance on the foreign worker. So now I'll giving a bit of the overview of the COVID-19 impact. In the news, we can see that there are potential shortage of especially vegetable shortage, which might be affecting more than 80% of Malaysian due to the movement control order and conditional movement control order. And according to the Vegetable Farmer Association in Malaysia, about 6,000 of vegetable farmer is affecting, and they are losing 948,000 daily. And just for information, about 20 to 30% of our vegetable vegetable produce is actually exported to Singapore. With Singapore also implementing their circuit breaker, so the farmer is trying to sell their excess fresh produce. So some of the challenges the farmers are facing is a disrupted supply chain. You can see news are reporting dumping of vegetable, dumping of the flowers in Cameron Highlands. So the disruptions mainly due to the labor shortage and also the positive cases found among the foreign worker, and then also the selling channel is affecting. You can see few of the fresh market, the wholesale market are closed down, cease operation because of the positive COVID-19 cases. And also prior to COVID-19, we are facing labor issue at agriculture sector, and now the labor issue is worsened because of the COVID-19. And we are seeing a reshaping of our agriculture system. The farmer and the producer are actually reconfiguring their supply chain. They are moving towards from selling to wholesales to selling directly to the customer. So you can see the change of the market channel. Lots of home grocery delivery, online shopping, e-commerce. There are some farmers are using Facebook group, WhatsApp group to sell their produce. And also one thing I noticed is the durian farmer. They are looking at the post-harvest processing, because as you all know, our durian mostly we are producing to export to Singapore and also China. Now with the border closure, so they are trying to find a way to prolong the durian shelf life. For example, using freeze-dried technology to actually, they are actually hoping after the MCO they can actually sell their durian. And also we are seeing a stricter hygiene and sanitary measure in the agriculture and food industry. So more PPE are used. And also they are actually reported saying that the Malaysian are actually moving towards urban farming and home gardening. So they are actually showing more interest in the home gardening as everyone are staying at home more. So here are some strategy that overseas are actually implementing to combat the challenge. I'm not encouraging the Belgian style. So the Belgian is actually encouraged to eat more fries, as they are actually producing 750,000 tons of potato. So they are actually urging their citizens to eat more fries to solve the surplus problem. But I'm not encouraging this. This is I think it's an interesting way of solving excessive food waste. And also in US, we are seeing some farmers are looking to reduce foreign worker dependency. As we all know, in US, they are depending on the Mexican workers in their farm. So now they are trying to reduce the dependency of foreign workers. So they are moving towards automation and robotic. As we all know, automation or robotic, the challenge is the high upfront of investment, and also not all job can be moving towards automation. For example, like harvesting is difficult moving towards automation. And also we are there are some a good example case study in Minnesota, US. They're actually changing their sales and marketing. Besides going towards e-commerce, they're actually setting up their drive-through farmers market. So a customer can go make their order through phone, through online, through Google Form, and then they pick up their goods and vegetable at a certain particular time. And also we are seeing countries like Hong Kong and Singapore, which is highly dependent on imports produce, imports food. They actually Hong Kong, they are actually import 90% of their product from China, and also Singapore is actually producing only 10% of their product. So they are looking ways to strengthen their local food system, and I think Malaysians should going towards that direction. So I think recently we all see that Singapore has announced they are converting their rooftop parking into urban farming. So I guess my time is up. So this is one of the a model that I found in YouTube is by Dahil Insat. So maybe one day we are moving towards drive-through grocery. So we are buying our food in cars. And of course, like everyone said, crisis is a turning point. When there's a crisis, there's an opportunity. So what we need to do is to assess the problem, finding a solution, adapt to the new normal, of course, with the objective of more profitable, efficient, safe, and environmental friendly agriculture. Thanks. I think that's all. I will pass the presentation to Reza.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole. Yeah, that was very insightful, especially on how we're going to be handling this in the new normal. Before we continue, there will be the last and final poll question. Phil, if you can help me to put this up. Yeah. So the question is, what is the most pressing challenge in getting Malaysian farmers to adopt IR 4.0? So this is multiple choice. You can select more than one answer. We'll give about 30 to 45 seconds for everybody to answer, and we'll move on to the next portion. So the options are financial constraints, lack of funding options, lack of economies of scale, lack of distribution or marketing channels, entrenched in traditional farming methods, lack of technological knowledge, and lack of affordable technologies. So I think we'll end it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So before we continue to the Q&A session, I'd just like to share with you some of the things that REDtone has done with MDEC and with quite a few local farmers and entities as well, state governments. Just to share, this is REDtone Smart Farming Solution. It consists of our smart control panel, our sensor nodes, our control nodes. The sensor node tells the control panel what's happening on the ground, on the farm. The control panel then tells the control node what to do. Turn on dosing pumps, turn on exhaust fans, growing lights, generators. Basically, whatever you can turn on and off on a farm, you can control using the control node. It also talks to the cloud. That means that you can then use your mobile app or your computer from wherever you are in the world to actually control the situation on your farm. REDtone's system uses a very simple principle. We want to enable RAR. RAR is remote monitoring of farm parameters, automation, and remote control. So you'd be able to do these three things as the basic first phase of deploying automation on your farm. We know that in Malaysia, we don't have economies of scale for most farmers, for most smallholder farmers. So this is the reason why we are looking at RAR. Yeah? So we want to increase yield, reduce costs, and reduce labor costs and reduce material costs. The system is developed in-house and is flexible and customizable. I believe this is the system architecture, so you can see that the control panel can control multiple zones, multiple sensor nodes, and multiple devices. Yeah, these are some of the applications that you can use. We have our smart irrigation system, smart fertigation system, smart pesticide misting system that can be used for open field farming, plantations, greenhouse, vertical farming, aqua farming, and livestock monitoring. This is the visual interface that we have. It's very easy to understand, very easy to be used without much training. So the farmer can monitor from anywhere, from any device, and he can also control the conditions on the farm if he's not happy with what has been automated. So these are some of our deployments just to share with you. For vertical farming, we've done a POC in our own office, a deployment in Kuching for greenhouse, and this is open field farming in Hulu Langat for rock melon. Yeah? So I believe that is all for REDtone side. What we will do now is we will go on to the Q&A session. So I hope our panelists are ready, and we will go on to the first questions. Those who want to actually have an open mic where they can ask questions to all the panelists here can actually raise your hand, and we will get to you as soon as possible. But Dr. Nicole, Arifa, are you there? I think we can move on to the Q&A session. I think you have to turn on your cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think some of the questions are, I think the first one, there's a lot of questions. So we'll
a lot of questions, and a few of them they actually asked directly to me. So perhaps
yes, so you can.
I have to leave at 12. So perhaps I can start answering those directed to me first.
Yeah. So yeah, you can press the answer live button, and it will do so.
Okay, so the first answer that I saw actually is from Johnson on how do we justify the ROI for digital adoption, and then I think this also ties in with question from Syed Alwi, the cost of adopting the various tech and digital business models on a per acre basis. So this is together. So for the time being, the case that we have for ROI validation is on chili planting using smart fertigation. So for chili planting and smart fertigation, the overall cost capex plus the technology itself is close to 110,000 ringgit per acre untuk 4,000 polybag. So kalau cost of setting up a chili farm, 1 acre chili farm without technology is about RM85,000. So that is the basic cost. And then with all the income that is expected to be received, which is, sorry, the ROI is expected to be by the second year. So the ROI is expected to be at the second year. So that is the, considering that you are taking up a loan of RM20,000 to actually fund for the technology itself. But of course, there's also various assistance provided by AgroBank to set up farm for smallholders. So if you go through the our program, the e-Ladang program, you will be taught and trained how to actually set up your farm from scratch. So our partner, Pertubuhan Peladang Kawasan Kuala Langat, they are the ones who are conducting the training regularly. They conduct, I think, twice every month. And the module on digital adoption is already part of their training. And they will also assist with funding advisory together as well. So I hope that answers the question. And if I'm not able to address the question now during the webinar, perhaps you can also continue the discussion offline with me. You can contact me on email as well. There's also current acceptance of technology in agriculture, especially in the rural areas. Rural area, I think all of us are very much aware that the digital technology depends on internet connectivity. So for the time being, we are not seeing much adoption of technology in the rural areas, because even without technology in the traditional farming itself, the farmers are already facing problems in the supply chain, in bringing their goods out to the market, ataupun even to get input for their farm. So that is the persisting challenge that we are seeing now. And then there's a question on adoption rate of digital farming in Malaysia. I can't say overall for the whole of Malaysia, but we have some numbers from our own pilot project. So from the over 500 people that we have trained, the adoption rate is actually quite low, below 10%. Okay, so that is the reality, because for the time being, the main concern of our target community is always the stability of the price of the produce itself. So that's one. And then of course with the MCO, their main concern is no longer adoption of IoT, is actually improving the supply chain itself. How are they going to actually continue to receive their input as well as continue to market their output, given that, you know, they cannot export, they cannot sell it to their usual middlemen. They don't know how to access to end user here in Malaysia. So over the last couple of months, MDEC has been working with MOA, and kita memang dah facilitate a session with MOA to introduce them to sharing economy solution providers for logistics and delivery services. And the outcome from that session is that Pharma, it has already put up AgroBazaar on Shopee. They are also working with Bungkusit and Lalamove, together with Pusat Pengumpulan Hasil Kuala Langat. They are also considering Lalamove as a pilot first to assist them with sending their goods down to some areas in Klang Valley, as well as Nikmat untuk their e-marketplace for fish. They are also looking into collaborating with Bungkusit. So that is the role that MDEC has played during MCO, in also facilitating to ensure that all these government-related agencies are working together, are subscribing to existing services which are already in the market, which MDEC has validated, and endorsed by Kementerian Komunikasi as good partners to work with. Okay. There's another question on CAPEX from Encik Said Alwi. So CAPEX is always the biggest hurdle facing smallholder farmers. So who bears the cost of CAPEX? Definitely it's farmers who have to bear the cost of CAPEX. Tapi kalau macam model e-ladang program tu, our e-ladang program, the model, it is a collaboration model. So PPK Kuala Langat bears the cost of providing the land, providing the space and the tanah untuk program e-ladang. Technology providers bear the cost of providing the technology for that space for to be trained. So yang ini Cik Reza boleh validatekan sebab memang team technology akan bear the cost of developing the hardware, the software itself, maintenance, any improvements, iteration that is being done during the POC period of the technology, yang itu technology providers akan bear the cost. MDEC cuma bear cost of training sahaja. So itu yang that's our role lah. So this is a different model that we're using to actually jalankan program e-ladang ni.
Maybe just to add on to the cost issue, Marifa, REDtone has been looking into the proposition of actually providing, because the cost of a system is dependent on the size of your farm. So,
yes, correct.
And it also depends on the level of infrastructure that you already have on your farm. So for example, you mentioned 85,000 to start a chili farm, a traditional chili farm. But you also have to look at the infrastructure cost of laying out piping, of actually having the valves, the solenoid valves installed, the pumps, the infrastructure involved. Yeah, so that cost just for that system alone, plus the smart system, can be anywhere from 30 up to 50,000, depending on how big the farm is. 2-3 acre farm, it can be 50,000-60,000 or so. But the return that you get is quite good. So compared to a traditional farm, you can expect anywhere from 10 to 20% increase in yield and 10 to 20% reduction in material costs. Labor costs can actually be scalable, because for every 1 acre, we have expected that you need 2 workers. Yeah. But with a system like this, those same 2 workers can actually take care of 4-5 acre farms for the same cost. So the increase in efficiencies is very dramatic. Yes. So for us to look at ROI on a 1 acre farm is a lot less than an ROI for, say, a 5 acre, 10 acre farm, right? For REDtone system, for example, we are now looking at a subscription model whereby farmers, maybe in conjunction with a state agency, the state agency will put aside a certain budget. They subsidize, but they do not give for free, because if you start giving things away for free, people don't take care of them. So that's the crux of it, isn't it?
There's a history of that. Yeah. So there's a lot of handouts given by the government to many of our smallholder farmers, which ended up being sold.
Yeah. So we are looking at a subscription option whereby, you know, the farmers pay, depending on the size of their farm, it can be anywhere from a couple of hundred ringgit to a couple of thousand ringgit a month, and it depends on the type of crops, it depends on the type of farm, but we do it on a case-by-case basis. We are filtering out people who already have very successful farms. They want to take it to the next level. So we're looking at that as well in terms of cost.
Okay, so I think there's another question that I haven't answered from Encik Said Alwi juga. For digital business process in Tok Bali case, who are the users? So for your information, the 30 pilot users for the Tok Bali case will be made up of the fish sorter, which are the freelancers who come to the jetty every day to actually sort the fish and they are paid on a daily basis. And then there's also the jetty operator itself. There's also the logistics provider. So in the sense where Tuan Syed is asking whether will it tackle the issue of middlemen in suppressing the prices? At this moment, we're not able to do that yet, because we understand that to digitalize the supply chain for agriculture is a very mammoth task. It's a very big task. So we start small first. So with this small MVP, the minimum viable product that we're trying to launch now, with this small use case, we will continue to make iterations and improvements, and we will continue to have new use cases to be put into so that more people can be onboarded. And then addressing the middleman issue, it will be an eventual thing. It's not the main thing, but it's an eventual thing. For all you know, the middleman could also be part of the digital supply chain. We do not know, because, you know, we are all very enterprising. So,
Yeah.
yes.
I believe this question, Dr. Nicole, if you agree with me, this event, this increasing in connectivity that is happening now in Malaysia, with the emphasis the government is actually putting on NFCP2 and the National Fiberization Connectivity Plan that is being done by MCMC now, this is going to dramatically increase the connectivity throughout the nation, and it will, as it moves to suburban, rural areas, you get high-speed internet connectivity. We believe that more and more people will start to adopt newer technologies. This includes your e-commerce platforms and such. People coming in from the kampongs, being able to sell their goods online without actually having to have a local presence in the big cities. Dr. Nicole, anything that you would like to add to the discussion that we've been having so far? I believe there's a question here for Dr. Nicole. What is your view on vertical farming in Malaysia, Doctor?
Vertical farming is potential, especially at the city area where the land is scarce. So, and it will, vertical farming is good at city area when the farm area is far away from the city. So we were able to shorten the supply chain. So the fresh produce delivered in a shorter time, so ensure the nutrition is still there, and also freshest produce. And we actually able to cut costs with the transport costs with the vertical farming at the urban area. So it's pretty potential at city area.
Okay, all right. But how does that compare to, you know, we have a lot of land here in Malaysia, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Traditional farming methods are viewed as a cheaper way to go, rather than, you know, if you were in a Singapore or in a Hong Kong, then for them it's very critical to look into vertical farming. But for us here in Malaysia, land is quite available still, right?
Yes.
So is it viable to go to vertical farming on a large scale, or is it more a niche product that people want organic pesticide-free vegetables would be looking at?
We will be looking at two types of vertical farming. Sometimes is also part under indoor farming. So if it's indoor, we are able to produce produces that actually difficult to plant in low region. So like the temperate region crops. So it is potential when we go for high value crops that we usually import. So if it's profitable, then you go towards. And another direction we are going towards is the lifestyle. So especially city dwellers, they are moving towards healthier organic lifestyle, more sustainable lifestyle. So I think we can looking towards more home gardening at a home area, urban area, at the garden area. So for a small community in the city.
Sure. Okay, all right, interesting. Arifa, anything that you would like to add to the vertical farming discussion?
Okay, so vertical farming and urban farming in Malaysia, I only have one concern for that. It's actually very, very costly. For you to actually use electricity to actually light up and power your cabin ke, or your vertical system dan sebagainya tu, it is very, very costly. It can be in hundreds of thousands of ringgit in a year. So, and then for the time being, I think majority of the urban farming producers in Malaysia, they are producing salads, lettuce, leafy greens. I think there are small pockets who are doing fish as well as crab. I think somewhere in Terengganu. So so in that sense, if the government plans to actually propagate urban farming or vertical farming, they also need to come up with a better way to reduce the tariff for electricity to encourage this to happen. So that's my thought on that. I have to go in 2 minutes, but there's one question on from Ethan. What's the new measures or assistance for post-COVID that we are driving to encourage smallholders to adopt digital? So so for this, we are always working to the program e-ladang is still continuing. So as and when that the farmer is ready to and feel that, okay, yes, I want to adopt technology, please do come to us and subscribe and attend our e-ladang program. At the same time, if any of the participants or people in this webinar today, they are wanting to also subscribe to sharing economy solutions to address logistics and delivery issues or even warehousing, please do contact me, and then we can actually facilitate you to actually onboard onto to subscribe to these services. There's also the website now that we have actually consolidated all of our delivery service providers. It is called sharingeconomy.my. That's the website. So if any one of you are keen, that you can actually just explore. If you have any questions, do come back to me, and I hope that you guys have taken down my contact number and my email address, and I look forward to hearing from some of you in the future. And I really have to leave now, Reza. Sorry.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Arifa. I know we're keeping you. We'll continue this for the next 10-15 minutes, and thank you so much, Arifa. Yeah? We hope to hear from you again soon.
Okay.
If you have any questions, you can contact Arifa directly, or you can put it to REDtone's REDtone Live punya system, and we will get it to her and get her to answer. Yeah?
Okay.
Thank you, Arifa. Yeah?
Thank you. Bye.
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 Okay, so we're just here with Dr. Nicole and myself now. We'll just go through very quickly a few more of these questions, and we will end the session. Doctor, there's a question for you. Doctor, what suggestion for Agri-Tech to be implemented on our rice production? So what I suppose the question is, what's your take on Agri-Tech for rice production to increase efficiencies and such?
For rice production, I think the main challenge is the high water usage, and also the pest problem.
Right.
And in terms of Agri-Tech, we can move towards precision farming. So automation, and in terms of ensure that the water we supply is adequate, just adequate for plant growth instead of excessive use. So reduce the water resources usage, and also the pest problem, pest monitoring, and also the weather forecast. To use the weather forecast and past incident of pests, the big data, to actually forecast the pests, help the farmer to have a proper planting schedule, a better planting schedule.
Just to add on, Doctor, we've actually had several inquiries on rice farming on this matter. What you've said is true. This is something that our current system can do. Another thing that has to be looked at in Malaysia probably is if you look at the way rice is planted in Japan, they are very efficient to the point that robots can be the one that is actually harvesting it for them and packing, sorting, and such. You have to have scale in order to do that. But I think rice farming in Malaysia is one of the agriculture sectors that actually has scale already, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. You're looking at 100 acres. So if a 100-acre farm, you should be able to go and adopt newer automation and mechanization technologies. Those are available out there. I mean, a lot of the technology that we're talking about today, aside from big data analytics, have been around for 20, 30 years. So it's not rocket science, right?
Yes.
It's just that we have not been utilizing it here in Malaysia due to maybe mindset of farmers, the inability to get funding and such.
I guess mindset is not a big issue. I think the challenge is the investment.
Right.
The investment, the really high startup cost, and also depends on crops value. So a good example is durian farm. So we look at 30 years ago, you won't see a sprinkler installing in a durian orchard. But with the boom of durian price, you can see that the farmers is, because of they have the profit, they have the income, so they start to invest to increase the production. So you can see that they are installing sprinklers, automated sprinklers in 100 acres of durian farm, which previously you won't see. So it's the cost benefit. Whether the product is valuable enough to go towards automation, unless there are external funding coming in to support the farmers. Depends on the farmer. It will depends on the price of the produce.
Yeah. So I guess for crops that are not as profitable, but essential to the national food security for Malaysia, the government has to step in at this moment in order to make sure that farmers adopt these more efficient methods so that we can move forward, right?
Yep.
So I think before we end, we will we've answered most of the questions. Maybe there's one that is more pointed to you, Doctor. And if we don't answer some of your questions here, we will get to them later and email the people in who have already registered and get back to you to answer. But this one, what is the situation of carbon farming in Malaysia? Perhaps
currently in Malaysia, we are lacking a structural carbon credit system. So a very good example we can model from is Australia. They have a carbon farming initiative Act 2011. So it's actually a voluntary carbon offset scheme. So it's actually linked to the carbon credit system. So when a farmer convert their farmland use and management practices to more sustainable practices that store carbon and reduce greenhouse gas, the farmer able to earn carbon credit. So this is more to the SDG goal. Currently in Malaysia, we do not have a very structured credit system yet. Hopefully in future.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you. So, Doctor, before we end, maybe I'll just share the results of the polls that we've been having throughout the session. Yeah. So our first question, which agriculture activity are you involved in? We have people from greenhouse farming, from fisheries and livestock, as well as consultancy/farm management. Again, 9 people voted, 11% in greenhouse farming, 11% in fisheries and livestock, 11% in consultancy and farm management, and the rest are interested in new tech. The next question, what kind of automated systems do you currently have on your farm? 11 people voted. 9% have said that they have irrigation. Another 9% fertigation systems on the farm, and the rest none of the above. For the fourth question, what are your main challenges, issues for farming? 29% said that, from 17 people, 29% said that it's labor costs, 29% said it's for material costs, 24% said inconsistent yields, another 29 said difficulties in getting funds to invest in modern technology, and the rest, none of the above. And for our final poll, do you think Malaysians are ready to adopt IR 4.0 smart farming solutions? 71% said yes out of 24 votes, while 29% said no. And our last question, what is the most pressing challenge in getting Malaysians farmers to adopt IR 4.0? From 21 votes, 71% said it is financial constraints or lack of funding options. 38% said it's lack of scale. 24% said it's lack of distribution channels. 52% said it's entrenched in traditional farming methods, while another 71% voted for lack of technological knowledge, and 57% said it is lack of affordable technologies. So I think that it shows that Malaysians are interested in getting to invest into smart farming technologies, precision farming technologies, but there are financial constraints, there are scale constraints that have to be addressed first. In any case, I'd like to thank everyone who has been here, who has come in, who has participated, who have attended. Inshallah, we will be having another one soon, maybe with different panelists on a different topic. I think that this will be a recurring theme for REDtone live events. Thank you so much, Dr. Nicole, for your participation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
To everyone else, thank you for attending. For those who are celebrating Raya, Hari Gawai, and other events that will be happening. Selamat Hari Raya, Selamat Hari Gawai, and Selamat Berpuasa. Thank you so much, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.